Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah, nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa man tamassaka bi sunnatihi ila yawmiddin. Thumma amma ba'd. Ya ibadallah. Here's the issue. What about the one who has died in Ramadan? Is it allowed to fast on their behalf? Now, this is the issue, inshallah ta'ala, that we want to look at today. Fasting on the behalf of one who has died. قال الشيخ عثيمين رحمة الله عليه, he mentions, فإن استمر به العذر, and if the legislated excuse for not fasting continues and is persistent, حتى مات, until an individual dies, فلا شيء عليه, then that individual, it is nothing upon him to do, or nothing upon her to do. And this is obvious. Why? Because they have passed away. Okay? So they're not able to fast nor make the fast up because they were sick and then they passed away. لأن الله سبحانه وتعالى, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala أوجب عليه عدة من أيام أخر, and this is because Allah ta'ala, for the one who's sick, Allah ta'ala, He has made it wajib upon them that they make the fast up doing what? Different days. So if you're sick in Ramadan, then you have an excuse and a license to break the fast and to not fast due to the sickness. But once you become better, then you make those days up when? After Ramadan. Okay? So if the person is sick and then they die in Ramadan, then they are incapable of making the days up after Ramadan because they didn't live to see a time period after Ramadan. Right? So there's nothing upon him or her to do due to the fact that they were sick and then they passed away during Ramadan. Man, that makes sense? You with me? Okay. The Shaykh goes on, he says, وَلَمْ يَتَمَكَّنْ مِنْهَا فَسَقَطَتْ عَنْهُ. So they weren't able to fast during these days after Ramadan because they died in Ramadan, so there's nothing upon them. So there's nothing upon them to do. كمان مات قبل دخول شهر رمضان لا يلزمه صومه, just like the one who died prior to the month of Ramadan entering. They died before Ramadan. Then there's nothing upon them to do because they didn't live to see Ramadan. They didn't live to see what? Ramadan. Okay? So you with me now? Is making sense, inshallah ta'ala, so far? Alright. فإن تمكن من القضاء ففرط فيه حتى مات صام وليه عنه. Now listen. If there was a situation that a person, they had something to make up from the fast. So a person, they were sick in Ramadan. So they broke their fast. And then after Ramadan, right? They died before they were able to make up the days that they missed. They died before they were able to make up the days that they missed. And it's very important. Because when we're talking about fasting on behalf of someone else, this is not, okay, a person died in Ramadan, so they died after half of Ramadan. So then they had the second half of Ramadan that they didn't fast. So therefore, the family members are going to now make up that fast and fast the rest of that Ramadan that they didn't live to see. Okay? The Shaykh, he already mentions that what is nothing upon them because they died before a time frame that they were able to make up the fast. Because if you're sick in Ramadan, then you make the fast up when? After Ramadan, during different days. This person never lived to see those different days because they died in Ramadan. So there's nothing upon them. There's nothing upon them. You with me? Okay. Now, a person, they're sick inside of Ramadan, and then they get better. They live to see after Ramadan, they got better. So now they have a number of days to make up. Let's say half of Ramadan they were sick. Then they got better. Ramadan is over. So now they have an opportunity to make those days up. But they didn't make the days up. They didn't make the days up. So they still have a debt for those days of half of Ramadan. They lived after Ramadan. They had an opportunity to make up the days, but they didn't make up the days, and then they died. So now listen to this scenario. So if an individual was able and lived to see a time frame where they can make up the fast, but they were negligent in making up the fast, and then they died. نعم صام وليه عنه جميع الأيام التي تمكن من قضائها. Then the wali, their guardian, their family member, their relative, then they will fast on them the days in which they had the opportunity to make up the fast for those days. Okay? So the days that they had the opportunity to make up the fast, but they didn't make up the fast, then their relative will fast these days on their behalf. What is the proof? وَمَا الدَّلِيلُ? What is the proof of this? لِقَوْلِهِ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. And this says, due to the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as it comes in a hadith that is muttafaqun alayh. It's a hadith that is agreed upon by both Imams al-Bukhari and Muslim. And it's from the hadith of Aisha radiyallahu ta'ala anha, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Man mata wa alayhi siyam, sama anhu waliyuhu." That whoever dies and they have upon them fast that they owe, they have upon them days that they have to make up, then their wali will fast on their behalf. Okay, so now a person was sick in Ramadan. So those number of days they were sick and that they ate, they owe those days. After Ramadan, they lived to see after Ramadan, but they didn't make up the fast before they died. Okay, so they died. So whatever days that are left in that person's account, then their family members will make up those days. So this is important to keep record. Every one of us, if we have days that we owe, that we keep a record of the days that we owe. And it's important that we have good relationships with our family members and good communication, open lines of communication, so that we can inform them that I owe such and such a days. Now, I owe this amount of days. So in the event that they pass away, their family members can make up these days for them, right? Likewise, the woman who is on her menses and the like, so she's not able to fast in Ramadan because of the time that she was on her menses, then she should let her family members know, listen, I have X amount of days to make up for when I was on my menses, so that in the event that she dies, they can make up those days for her. But if there's no open lines of communication, nor any type of documentation where it is known exactly what is left from that person owes and things of that nature, then their family members will not be able to make up this fast. So this highlights the importance of good relationships with one's family, that we have to have good relationships with each other, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. This is another benefit from the many benefits of having a good relationship with your family. Now, and listen to this, because people sometimes say things like, well, my friends are like my family. I'm not close to my family. My friends are like my family. Now, we're talking about when your family is Muslim. We're not speaking about situations where the family is not a Muslim, so on and so forth. We're talking about specifically, because even in those situations, you still should keep the family ties, right? And have a good relationship with them as much as possible, okay? We understand the intricacies and the nuances of said relationships due to the different beliefs and the disbelief of these family members and the like. But even with that, you try to have as best relationship as possible given the circumstance. That's that. Back to the Muslims. You have a Muslim family, then undoubtedly you should try to have good relationships with them and open lines of communication and the like. From the many benefits of doing that is this: if you die, they could fast for you. Now, this thing of, well, I got my friends and so on and so forth. Who is the wali? Who is the wali? Now, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, what? Sama anhu waliyuhu. Then his wali will fast on his behalf. Who is the wali? Sheikh Uthaymeen, he mentions, he says the wali, they are who? Warithuhu aw qaribuhu. They are those who shall inherit from him, or his close family members. That's the wali. Did the Shaykh say the wali is his friends, his best friend? Did the Shaykh say his wali is, his close inner circle of friends? No. His wali, they are who? They are his family members. Those who inherit from him or his close relatives. They are his wali. These are the ones who will fast on their behalf. So an individual, from the foolishness of an individual picking their friends over their family, is this. This is from one of the reasons that enters into and points out and shows the foolishness of such a behavior. Okay? Another encouragement for us to have good relationships with our family and not to choose others over them. Because our family, they have rights upon us that are specific that others don't have, and they benefit us in ways that others can't. So it is important to understand this. So the Shaykh, he mentions, after we have established these things, that his family members or her family members, and they will be the ones who will fast upon their behalf. The Shaykh, he mentions, he says, وَيَجُوزُ أَن يَصُومَ عَنْهُ جَمَاعَةٌ بِعَدَدِ أَيَّامِ الَّتِي عَلَيْهِ فِي يَوْمٍ وَاحِدٍ. He said it is okay and it is permissible that a group of his family members could each of them fast the days that a person missed during one day. So let's say, for example, the person, they were sick for 1 week in Ramadan. So they missed 7 days. Okay, they missed 7 days. But let's say that this individual left behind a wife and 6 children. A wife and 6 children. So the wife is 1, 6 is 6. 1 plus 6 equals 7. So on one day, his wife and all of his 6 children could fast that one day, each of them, with the intention of fasting this day on behalf of their father who died, and that will take care of 7 days all at one time. So this is permissible. This is permissible. So this is important to understand, so that it is known bithnillahi ta'ala. All right. So listen now. قال Imam al-Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi, قال al-Hasan. Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that al-Hasan said rahmatullah alayhi, إن صام عنه 30 رجلا يوما واحدا جاز. He said that, he said, if 30 men fasted on his behalf in one day, then that takes care of everything, right? Showing what? Showing to the extent that a group of people can fast on the behalf of an individual for the days in which that they missed, and that they had a chance to make up but never got the opportunity because they died. Then if it was 30 days they owed, then 30 men can fast on one day for that individual, and that is permissible. And then a month will be taken care of all at one time. All at one time. So this is just some rules and regulations as relates to fasting on the behalf of others. That is important for us to know. And bithnillahi ta'ala, it's an encouragement for us to repair the relationships and whatever needs to be repaired as relates to our Muslim family members. نكتفي بهذا القدر، والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، وجزاكم الله خيرا.